Hello, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Caleb. And welcome to History of the Papacy.
It's papacy, Caleb.
Right. You guys may have heard us before. We are on a somewhat famous podcast known as Iroquois History and Legends. And we kind of have some sad news for you on Steve, because I'm sure you're wondering where Steve is.
Yeah, Steve has done over 100 episodes, plus all the Sidetracked episodes, and he's just really feeling burned out. And Steve is going to take some time away, an indefinite period. We're not really sure when he'll be back. But he has asked us to fill in because he's got dozens of listeners that don't want to miss an episode.
And we figured dozens of listeners, that's probably at least twice as many as we have on our show. So we volunteered to step up and take over History of the Papacy for him.
Papacy. Anyway, Steve has turned his email box over to us too, and that's great because we've literally seen several emails from people saying that there's a subject that Steve has long overlooked and never covered.
That's right, Andrew. In order to really understand the core beliefs of Catholicism, I think it's really important that we dive deep into an episode on this very specific subject.
And you may be asking, what is this amazing subject? Well, Caleb, do you drive anywhere?
I drive all the time.
Well, a pope's got to drive too. And you may have guessed it. Today, we will be discussing that illustrious glass box of a car called
the Popemobile.
The Popemobile.
Now, for starters, Andrew, let's start with the name. It seems kind of silly, and in fact, I read that it's not even the official name. It's just kind of what the common folk refer to it as because they can't come up with anything else.
Correct. In fact, in 2002, Pope John Paul II specifically asked/begged the media to please stop referring to the vehicle as the Popemobile, since he said it was a very undignified title.
The media press, of course, trying to appease the Pope, of course they agreed to stop calling it the Popemobile out of respect for His Holiness. But sadly, since 2002, the media has really gone downhill. Up until 2002, they were always known for only giving correct sources and
the finest standards of journalism integrity.
Exactly. But this lie right here was a turning point in world journalism because this was the first documented time that the media lied.
And they kept calling it the Popemobile.
They did, to their everlasting shame.
And so, that's what we're going to refer to it as today. So let's dive into some specifics for this amazing machine.
Now, Andrew, when we're talking about any vehicle, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
How awesome the seating is.
That's exactly right. It wouldn't be a Popemobile if it didn't have a really cool seat. So the seat that it has is white Italian leather, only the finest for His Holiness. And different popes are different heights, right? So it only makes sense to have a hydraulic lift chair. That way you can rise or lower depending on how tall you are.
Very nice. Also, installed overhead are lights that shine down on the pontiff. But we should probably mention what's surrounding him while he's riding in the back of this vehicle.
Thousands of adoring fans?
Not only that, but what is separating him from the thousands of adoring fans that may or may not be concealing a firearm?
Extremely thick bulletproof glass.
Yes. Now, why is it that they felt necessary to have bulletproof glass on this particular vehicle?
Well, for a long time, they didn't feel the need to have this. But sadly, in 1981, in Vatican City, Pope John Paul II was traveling through Vatican City, and a not-so-nice person pulled a handgun and shot him. And thank God he survived it. This brought up the concerns to the Pope's security. And they realized they have to step up security immensely. No more of this Pope just walking through the crowds or driving in a convertible down the road where everyone can see him. We need to find a way to make it so he can be safe, but also so all of the devout Christians would be able to see him.
Now, this vehicle doesn't just have bulletproof glass. It's actually a pretty sweet ride. Normally you see it going along at parade speed, maybe 15 kilometers an hour or so. I don't know what that is in miles, but I'm assuming it's slow also. But this thing can actually haul butt. This 8-cylinder beautiful machine can go from 0 to 60 in about 8 seconds, and it can reach speeds of up to 100 miles an hour.
So the Pope can scoot pretty fast if he needs to.
Yeah, and that's 160 kilometers an hour for those of you that live outside the United States.
Now, on top of being bulletproof and having a super big V8 engine, it's also bomb-proof. It has armored doors. Now, I imagine a car like this, that you don't make a lot of them, it must be very expensive to manufacture.
Yeah, how can the Vatican sleep at night knowing that there's starving children in Africa and they're shelling out $500,000 to get this vehicle done?
Well, that's a very good question. Now, they can do this, Andrew, because Mercedes-Benz not only develops, manufactures, and creates, but they end up donating these cars to the Vatican for free.
Wow, that's really nice of you, Mercedes-Benz. All right, very cool. Well, let's, what else did you have, Caleb?
They have radios in them.
Oh, okay. What else?
That's actually all I got. I was planning on just you kind of carrying this episode.
But we had, how long are Steve's shows normally?
Hold on, let me check. Andrew, this says Steve's shows are like 40 minutes long or longer.
Wow, we're only like 6 minutes in. Well, I guess we're going to end early today. So we'd like to leave you guys with this final message.
April Fools!
Steve will be back next week with an incredible show that only he could do.
In all seriousness, though, Andrew and I were joking around a little bit on this little tease for you, but we really do quite a bit of research in our own show, Iroquois History and Legends. And in this, we explore early colonists and their dealings with the Native Americans.
Specifically, obviously, the Iroquois Confederacy, which is a conglomeration of 6 nations, and they influenced North America unlike any other Native American group did. We promise that you will not be disappointed if you give us a chance. So look us up on any podcasting app, you'll find us.
Also, for those of you that are interested in Catholic history, several of our episodes deal with the Recollets and the Jesuits and their missions work in America. So if that's something you'd be interested in, please check us out, Iroquois History and Legends.
If you're wondering, it's spelled Iroquois.
And we're on iTunes and every other podcast site. We have a website, longhousepodcast.com.
We hope to see you over on our channel, and Steve will see you next time.
Bye, everybody.